Hello, my name's Jeff. I'm one of the creators of this game, Escape the Living Nebula. So this is just going to be a quick tutorial on how to play. So there are a few different things, like there's a how-to button you can go to get a bit of information, but we won't worry about going through that now. Hopefully I can explain everything in this video, and you can read up on how to do things if you need to. So firstly, you can see that the continue button has got a black tip to it, not a yellow tip. That means we can't continue. There is nothing to continue. So if we just do a new game, here if we just hit play, it'll play through a normal mode. But if we click on normal mode, we can change the mode style. So normal mode is basically story mode that doesn't have permadeath. So if any of your ships pass the level, then you get all your ships back next level. Survival mode is exactly the same, only there is permadeath. So if any of your ships die in a level, then they won't respawn next level. So you've got to make it through the entire game with just one set of ships, and you get 3 ships. So yeah, that's a very, very hard mode. And then rogue mode is exactly the same as survival, so there's permadeath, only there's more ships and they're completely randomed for every level. Well, mostly randomed. You never know what you're going to get. So that's very, very tough. And once you have passed normal mode, you will unlock simulation mode, which is you can go through and create your own level. But you can only use the ships in that level that you've already beaten in the game. So yeah, that's another option. Oh, and simulation mode is only available in Escape the Living Nebula Purple. So yeah, it's not available in the free version. That's only in the paid version. Also, there's more ships in rogue mode in the paid version as well. So yeah, so that's that. We'll just head to normal mode and hit play. So there's some story stuff. So alert, scout fleet stranded behind enemy lines. Alert, Nebula becoming sentient. Commence 10 jumps through Nebula safe zones, then jump the fleet home. Enemy ships scrambling to occupy Nebula safe zones. Expect resistance. So we've got to make 10 jumps, and we're currently in zone 1.1. Jump 1.1. Enemy heat signature detected. If visual contact cannot be made, employ frigate scanning technology. And I'll explain what that is in 2 seconds. So this is our fleet of ships. The first ship is called the cruiser. The smallest ship is called the fighter. And the biggest ship is the frigate. So the frigate is the one that has the scanning technology. So when you first boot up the game, it's going to say, just give you a couple of little tips, like there's more options under the pause menu if you need them. Click here to toggle button info. So here, it's action button info. So these are your action buttons down to the bottom left. And if we click this little question mark, we get an overlay that displays what each button does and the cost of each button. And down the bottom right hand side, we can see the yellow bars are our energy and the purple bars are our health. So that's it. That's all the tutorial stuff you get basically from the game. Pretty quick. So if we hit this little question mark button, we do get this overlay so we can see what each button does and the cost. So every time you do an action, it'll eat up part of your energy, which is this yellow section. So let's start, because we can't see any enemy ships. We don't know where they are. So let's put on a shield just to make sure we're safe, and then end this person's turn, end this ship's turn, and then it goes to this ship. They will also just put on a shield, although we can, if you look up to the top right, we can see that's where the enemy ship is. But if you can't see it, which is very, very common, we can just put on a shield and end turn, and then we can scan the area with our scan button, and it will actually point to exactly where the ship currently is. Although it doesn't keep moving with the ship. So if the ship's powering along, it'll tell you where it currently is at the time of the scan. yeah, just something to be aware of. Cool. So that's that, and we might just end turn. And now that every ship has had their turn, the game will play out for 3 seconds automatically, and then the game pauses, and you get to have another set of 3 turns. And when it's your next turn, you also replenish some energy. And the way that works is basically all the ships just double their energy every turn. So if you've got no energy, you'll get 1 bar. If you've got 1 bar, you'll have 2 bars, you'll have 4. So energy conservation is a big part of the game as well. You don't want to get too drained. The only exception to that is the fighter will have 2 bars of energy every turn, and it only has 3. So it almost has max energy every turn. So the fighter is the one guy you can be a bit more aggressive with. Cool. So now that's out of the way, let's try and take out this enemy ship. So what we'll do is we'll thrust forward by clicking the thrust button, and that starts this little like mini game. The red side of the slider is how much thrust you'll do in the forward direction, and the kind of grey purple part is the how much thrust you'll do in the reverse direction. So this ship has a little bit of reverse thrust, and the other ships have varying amounts. The frigate can't do any thrust in reverse, and the fighter can do a bit more thrust in reverse. So it's a bit more agile, the fighter is, and the frigate's less agile. So if we click this button here, it'll lock in wherever the slider currently is. So if we aim for full, so around there, and then we'll also rotate, and rotating works in the same way. The red bar is clockwise rotation, and the bluey grey part is anti-clockwise rotation, and so the further it is, the more you get. And full like max rotation is approximately 180 degree turn. So half of the colour, so half of the red, is approximately 90 degrees. So we want to move have the ship pointing 90 degrees up approximately, just to kind of start heading up. So we'll do an anti-clockwise rotation about half of the grey purple. So about there. That seems quite complicated, but once you've done it a couple of times, it becomes very simple. It's quite intuitive once you've had a couple of goes. So we've already applied our thrust forward and our rotation. So if we end turn, that's just going to be applied once the time starts playing out. And we'll do the same for this guy. So we'll do a full thrust forward, but maybe only like a 45 degree turn. So rotate just a kind of a 45 around there. And this guy will do a full thrust and then maybe 45 as well. So around there. And then if we end turn, that'll be the end of all 3 players, and you'll watch them take off. Oh, okay. So this guy just got hit by a laser, and he lost 1 health bar. Cool, so now we're a bit closer. We can start attacking the enemy. So the most common option is the laser. So if we just click that, we then get this yellow laser bar rotating automatically around the ship. And when we hit the fire button, it'll lock in that angle. So if we just kind of time it so it's pointing at this ship, I'm not great at this, but I'll try and line it up so it's aiming for the enemy. Around there. So you can see it just locked in that spot, and it also started firing the laser. So that's it there, and we can see it's kind of heading in that general direction. And if we do an ion cannon, it's the exact same thing, only it's slightly easier to aim because it doesn't move quite as quickly as the laser. It also does double the damage of the laser. So the laser will do 1 damage, and the ion cannon does 2 damage. So I'll try and line this up around there, and we've only got one energy left, so we can't do a shield or another ion because they cost 2. So that's why they're kind of grayed out. But we might save our energy so we can start building it back up. So we'll end turn. The fighter might just do a couple of shots as well, because we're going to get all our energy back with this guy at the end of the at the start of next turn. We'll get the 2 energy back. And the last one is the frigate. So we can thrust, rotate, apply a shield, or scan. And the only weapon that the frigate has is a torpedo. So if we use that, we get the same spinning, rotation, aiming. And as soon as I click go on that, there we are. Now we can't afford to do anything except rotate and thrust, but I think we're fine. So we'll just end turn. Oh, didn't quite hit. Now, I'll just focus on the torpedo for a second. So the first 2 guys will just apply shields. Now that the frigate has fired a torpedo, they can't fire a second torpedo. So you can only have 1 active torpedo at a time. But once it is active, you get the option to guide the torpedo. So at the moment you can see it's it might just be going just above this the enemy. So if I guide, we then get this slider. And if we just have it slightly forward, so an ever so slight clockwise rotation, then hopefully that'll put it on target for hitting the enemy. So hopefully that was enough. And if we end turn, we can see it's kind of turn, and now it's aiming down. And hopefully it'll hit his shield. We haven't got enough energy to do anything else. So yeah, hopefully it hits the shield. Yeah, fantastic. So although the enemy had the shield up, the torpedo, if the torpedo does a direct hit, then that will do some damage. But also just being in the blast radius of the torpedo does damage. So I think it's 3 damage if you do a direct hit on an enemy. I think it's 2 for the torpedo and then 1 for the area effect. So yeah, it's something like that. So yeah, it's a very powerful weapon, and being able to guide it is really, really helpful too. So yeah, that's it. I don't think I'll do any more stages. That's probably it for the tutorial. Actually, what I might do is just jump back and quickly go through some more options at the start. So if we just jump back to the title screen, we can see within the options. Oh, now we've got continue. So it tells you what mode you are on and what jump you are up to. So yeah, if you exit a jump and then continue, it will start that jump from the start. So it doesn't save the position within the level. It just starts from that level and randoms the level again. So there's that. Within options, depending on what you're playing on, you'll have different options. Like on phone, you'll have vibrate, where this is still in an early sort of a build. So we're looking at having a GIF capture tool as well, so you can save random things. But at the moment, playing on through a browser version, we've got audio. So we can, just change your volumes and things, music and effects separately. And you can also change the difficulty of the enemies. And what this does is adjusts the likelihood that they will do an action. So that's basically how the enemies are all operating at the moment. Just based on a likelihood of doing something. So hard just means they're more likely to do something, and easy means they're less likely to do something. And normally something means fire a laser or an ion cannon or put up their shields. So they're a bit more docile on easy and a little more aggressive on hard. So you do have those options too. But yeah, that's it for this tutorial. I hope you enjoy playing it. Cheers.